The Mormon Church changed its title to the LDS. So I'm going to use the term LDS in this video. I do use Mormon in my description because it's a relatively recent change and a lot of people won't know what the heck I was talking about today, okay? So over the years, I am not LDS, but I have had many competitor friends, many students that are LDS, okay? And if you are LDS, I would love it if you could share your experience below, because I'm just sharing my observations as somewhat of an observer looking in. I'll tell you this, the very first ballroom dance show I attended was by the BYU performance team. They have a traveling performance team. And my mom brought me because at that point I had been taking private lessons for years. And she thought that might be fun. And I'll tell you what, guys, I never considered competing until I saw that. But the moment I saw those rhinestone shoes walk out and those glamorous costumes, I was like, oh, I am all over that. And it actually changed the course of my life. So shout out to the BYU performance team. And I don't know how long that team's been around because this was decades ago, but yeah, they came to my town. Okay, now, secondly, my very kind of bestie in the competition world was also LDS. And so when I first started competing at championship level, we were both taking from the same primary coaches, and we stuck with them our whole dance careers. But at that time, they were a relatively new couple competing for the United States. Neither are American. And so they didn't have a full clientele yet. So her parents would fly them out to Utah where they lived. And my friend, her partner, and me and my partner would stay at her house. And we would take coaching with them and just split the costs, which is great because Utah is actually, if I were to have a super long day driving distance from my home, New York's a heck of a lot more expensive and time consuming, for me to fly to, as well as London. Though originally I was able to see them maybe for a couple of years in Utah. So we just stayed at their house and that was amazing. And then secondly, went on the international competition circuit as amateur championship level competitors. She and I, or that couple and me and my partner, would share hotel rooms, or in the case of England, we would stay at B&Bs because it's cheaper, to save money. Because as competitors, especially championship level competitors, kind of clawing your way up the ranks, you are spending every dime that you can on your coaching, on your costumes, on your travel. And so, we save money and share hotel rooms whenever possible. Next up, when we practiced in Utah, which is where has the largest percentage of an LDS population in the United States, probably the world, we would always practice at an LDS church for free. And I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think that would have happened unless she wasn't a member of that church. And so, hey, shout out to the LDS church for being a part of my ballroom dance career. Because although, it wasn't like a dance studio with like a mirror, and it wasn't a ballroom with like chandeliers and such, hey, I'm all over a good dance floor. That's all I care about. And so that was great. We would run comp rounds there. We would get our coaching there. Amazing. And it seemed to me that like every LDS church had a dance floor, albeit kind of a gym, but who cares? It's danceable. It's a big floor. Love it. So lots of access there. Next up, one of the first social dances that I attended before I started competing was an LDS sponsored, they called it a singles dance. So you could only attend if you were unmarried. But it wasn't like, a shake your booty, bar type dancing. It was ballroom dancing. And ironically, the first time I think the only time ever I was touched inappropriately at a dance was that dance. But to be clear, that person was not LDS. You do not have to be a member of the church to attend those single dances, but you do have to be single. And he was totally a creeper. He's like, I just come here because I get a free dinner with this dance. Like, oh, thanks for sharing. And don't grab my butt when you're dancing with me. I'm sure if I would have told someone there, he would have had a can tied to his butt and been kicked out. But, I was quite young at that time and just, didn't really know at all how to advocate for myself, guys. And as we know, ballroom dance is not a hook-up activity, okay? For ballroom dancers, and the vast majority of friends here on our channel are ballroom dancers, are ballroom dance competitors. We all see ballroom dance as a fun workout, a joyful way, to express ourselves artistically, an intellectual challenge for ourselves in terms of technique. It's like a moving puzzle that we are solving with that other person when we were going across the floor. So we're not thinking about shacking up. We're thinking about ourselves, dancing our best. Oh my gosh, all sorts of good stuff. And certainly the LDS Church does recognize that, or they wouldn't be hosting, shack up dances. And so I all sorts of love that. Ironically, guys, there was actually a couple couples I have taught privates to over the years where their church, some sort of Christian church, I can't remember which one, prohibited them from touching anyone of the opposite gender. I think that the LDS Church goes hog wild the opposite way, because they definitely, in my observation over the years, a larger percentage of their congregations ballroom dance than any other religion I can think of. And so unlike most forms of dance, guys, essentially it is, I'll say, scripted dance. And we have this in almost all cultures across the world have a traditional ballroom or African or Japanese or whatever. They all have their own kind of unique cultural dances. And in my observation, those are a safe way to interact with the other gender and in close physical proximity, where we have kind of built-in rules of physical contact. So there's no pressure of, oh, now I dance with this person, now I got to get married to them, or gosh, I don't want them to think they're romantically interested in me. So definitely almost every culture has a similar kind of structured dance that is native to that culture. And I love that. So we all follow these common rules in ballroom dance. We don't put our hands on their partner's butt. And by the way, that dancer who did that, he was the only guy there that didn't know how to ballroom dance. He was like blues dancing with me, and I was like, oh, this is all sorts of skeevy. And I didn't even know how to excuse myself from the dance. I just lifted his hand, and then he asked me several more times, like, oh, I'm real tired. I can't dance with you. And again, if you are LDS, please share your experience below, because I'm just sharing my own observations today, viewing from the outside what my opinions are. And guys, I have a heck of a lot more observations I've made in this area, so I'm definitely do a follow-up video on this, because I've got a number of very unique things to the LDS Church that, in my opinion, make them very front and center in the world of ballroom dance. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining me. I cannot wait to see you first thing tomorrow morning for some more ballroom dance chat. Okay, guys, have an awesome day. See you tomorrow. Toodles.